Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 185th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and those sexy legends over at Audio Technica. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan 8bit. And joining me today, my two partners in crime, the Cloud and Tifa to my Barrett. We're talking Miss Sally Hart, who you can find at Miss Sally Hart, and Nato Johnston, who you can find at I Know Nato. Welcome back, my man. How you doing?
Hey.
I'm back, baby. You can't keep a good thing from a good thing. All right. I don't think that's the line, but that's the new line now.
Can't keep a
That
good
could
man
that could
down.
be the episode title right now. You can't keep a good thing from a good thing. Episode 185. Lock it in.
That's
We're
right.
gonna
I
be-
wish I didn't know Nato. I'm back. All right.
It is. It's been too long between drinks. We were trying to mix in new, unknown, or a sort of unusual guests for our show that haven't been on the THG before. And Nato's like, no, fuck this.
No.
Kicks the door down.
No.
Let me in, you sons of bitches. It's been too long.
You're
I
out
got
here trying
Pokemon
these
to talk
craft
about.
beers when you've got a good whiskey sitting at home.
Amen. Actually, I can fully attest to that because craft beers, for the most part, taste like wood chips or cat's piss. So yeah, give me the
being
whiskey.
in the hub of craft beers, I would like to contradict that statement, but please carry on.
Steer me away from the wood chip beers, please.
I will. There is shitty.
And for the biggest
stuff out
plot
there.
twist ever, I've had a craft beer that I actually enjoyed for the first time in my whole entire life. And I'm a extreme hater of beers and ciders. And we were down south, me and the missus, with her family, and it was like one of those country towns, and they had like a little fair on and stuff like that, and somebody had their like little craft beers there, and like the missus loves beer, so I was like, oh yeah, let's go test some. And I was like, well, I'm like, same with wine testing, like I always test wines even though I'm not a big wine fan because they're free. You can't have not try free things. And yeah, I had this beer and I was just like, holy shit, it doesn't have the bad beer aftertaste at all. And I bought a 6-pack of it, drank it, and I've never found it ever since then. And
What was it called?
like Run Amok or something like that.
Run Amok. Okay.
Yeah, it was
do
like
some digging on this.
Oh man, it was delicious. Like, because that's even with cider, I'm like, it still tastes like somebody poured a beer into an apple, and then I'm just drinking the
agree
beer
with
out
that.
of an apple. Because like you still have the beer aftertaste, no matter how much these craft beer guys are like, no, it doesn't taste like. I'm like, I get the aftertaste always, and this thing was just, it tasted like alcoholic, like apple juice. It was beautiful. Loved it.
Okay. Well, then those kind of things do exist, but I guess there
Yeah.
has to be more of an extensive kind of craft brewery kind of range. So
Yeah.
I can tell you now there's a bunch over here that you would like then, based on that.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't have that beer aftertaste, I'm
Yeah.
good.
I had a couple of kaiju crushes yesterday.
Ooh.
Kaiju crush.
Ooh.
So
Crush.
it got me because of the name. Obviously, kaiju is in the big
Godzilla.
sort of monsters and
Mhm.
things like that. So I'm like, yeah, I'll give that a go. They're really nice. They're real tropically though, so they'd be good on a super hot day. But they
Oh,
weren't too bad. Kaiju Crush,
I love-
based out of Victoria.
tropical Pacific beers. They're so good. All the fruity ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
like the passion fruit ones. Anything with passion fruit in
yes.
it. Oh my
Yes.
god.
Delicious.
Yeah, Pacific Ale's sort of my go-to if I'm grabbing beers. But I digress because I'm drinking coffee right now. Because I'm stressed because I couldn't get the mixing board working this morning. So I've been running around all over the countryside, right, getting the right cables and connectors and adapters to get a soundboard interface going through my mixer. Got it all finally because at first they sent me a female XLR adapter. I need the male. I requested the adapter. They sent the wrong adapter. Got a different cable, blah, 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 blah. Got it all going this morning, plugged it in, and then just all this crazy interference is looping through the cable straight away. And I'm like, well, there goes like probably 6 hours of my life this past week and $70 worth of cables and interfaces. So stick it up your bum, DJ store, you sons of bitches. But anyway, we'll get there eventually. I think I'll just have to use the Elgato Stream. What's the
Stream Deck.
Stream Deck? Yeah, we've got one of them, so maybe I'll just resort to that.
God,
I think
I love
that makes
that
more
thing.
sense. instead of trying to reinvent the wheel.
How much are they now?
I think they're 120 for the small one and maybe 200 Australian for the extra large.
Oof.
Oh, extra large, yeah. Is there still the standard one out?
I think
Or
so.
is
I
it
think
just
they
the
still got
small and the
little baby.
extra large? Yeah. Because I bought mine at like a PAX one when they had like a special on for like $100, the standard size one. It was good. And I nearly use it as a universal remote now for my like telly and computer, because I have my computer attached to the telly. So like it just sits on the side of the couch and I'm like, yep, I want Netflix. So I press the Netflix button, everything loads up for me. And if I want to do this and that, and it's beautiful. Love it. Like even when I just started podcasting this morning, I have a podcast button. It like loads up my Audacity, loads up Google Hangouts, loads up everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
You gotta love technology, right?
Oh, I love it. It's
You know
so
what
good.
else I love? I love building hospitals, right? So I've been playing 2 Point Hospital finally. I'm
Can
all
I
about.
just say, chef kiss on that one.
I'm all about, those world builder games and those simulation games, and I finally got around to playing some 2 Point Hospital, so shout out to 5-Star Games for that review code there. I'm really digging it on the Switch. Like, it's been out for a couple of years now. I think it came out in 2018. 2 Point Studios and Bullfrog were the initial devs on this one, but it's on the Switch. It feels nice. I've been playing in handheld mode.
Yeah,
all the
wow.
micromanagement, really easy to control.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the twin sticks are really easy to navigate around. You've got your bumpers to jump in and out and rotate and what have you. So I'm up to my 4th hospital, I think, now in this. And obviously you start at the low end and you just got a blank building and you've got to populate it with, your receptions, your GP offices, so on and so forth. And then various levels of hilarity follow certainly thereafter, with various illnesses coming in and things you've got to try and cure and managing staff and all that kind of rigmarole that sounds stupid when you talk about it like in that regard. It's like, who would want to deal with this stuff? But when you're in the game, it's so fun. It's so fun. Like those simulation games, I don't know what it is. Like if you explain those games to people that probably don't play games, they'd be like, ugh, that's the worst. But for gamers, I think they're like, man, it's so good.
That's like I was
hospitals
trying to
or whatever.
explain Stardew to somebody at work that like doesn't really play video games, and they're like, so. No, it wasn't at work. It was the missus's family, because like they were talking about like giving, like as a joke, because they have a huge farm that they use, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just give it to Castleberry and stuff like that." And then I was, because she's been smashing Stardew at the moment, and I was like, "Oh, your gaming life has set you up for real life now." And then they were like, "What did that mean?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's like a game where you get a farm and you got to build a farm." And they're like, "What?" And it's just like, yeah, how do you explain this to people that don't play video games?
These games, and I know this is probably why I'm such a fan of all these like job simulation and all those kind of style of games, is that false sense of fulfillment in life. It's like you can't get it in life, so why not have a game where you feel like, hey, shit, I've accomplished something. It's sad.
That is very true.
But true.
Yeah. On the second hospital, sorry, not hotel. The second hospital that I started repairing and bringing back to its former glory, and like when you start buying the surrounding plots to make it like a 4-building masterpiece, and you're curing illnesses left, right, and center, and you're rorting money from people because you've got the salty snacks machine right beside the drinks machine, so you're getting money however you can, and working out your staff morale and how to staff them and stage them and everything else. It's good fun, and it's just a good mindless time sink, I think, is also what's great about it. Like, as you said, Ali, you get that great sense of fulfillment because now your hospital is like the best in the county and whatever else, and it's a 3-star rating.
Exactly.
But it's also, you've also killed 4 hours just chilling out on the couch or in bed or whatever with background noise going on and just living your best medical life. So,
this is exactly...
really, really dig in 2 Point Hospital. I just need to double check to see how much it is on the Switch.
This is exactly why I play these games. It's just a good time killer.
Yeah. What was your first ever one of these kind of like genre types back in the day?
I'd say SimCity. On the computers at the school, because we didn't get a computer at home till sort of a bit later in the piece, so I'd only get my computer fix at school, like during computer
Lab
studies
hours,
or something like that. And there was SimCity on there. I think it might have been like
SimCity 2000?
SimCity 2000. Yeah.
God,
yeah.
What about you, Ali? Were you a Sims girl?
Yeah, I obviously played all the SimCity games that came out, but this 2 Point Hospital actually filled a void in my life because there was a game I used to love that was called Hospital Tycoon.
Oh, Tycoons!
Yeah. So, and that, like, I absolutely adored that game, but, you know, it obviously kind of ages out a bit. And then 2 Point Hospital is very, very similar. So I've actually gotten to play 2 Point Hospital and it fills that void perfectly.
I forgot about
That's
the
pretty
Tycoon
great.
series.
Yeah,
Because, like,
they're
I had Railway Tycoon and God.
Roller Coaster
love that.
Tycoon. Oh, Railroad. Yeah, the Railroad one, it was actually a lot of fun. I played that one to death.
Yeah.
Transport Tycoon.
Yep. Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had SimCity 2000 on floppy disks. Like, that's how...
Damn.
Oh, like, I think it came with, like, 4 floppy disks because that's how big of an install it was. You'd have to put one floppy disk in, install, pull it out, put the next disk 2 in, disk 3, and then disk 4 to get it all installed.
I feel like SimCity was one of the ones that came in a cereal box once, though, like on a CD.
Yeah,
That
like
and,
a
Age
Kellogg's
of
one.
Empires.
Yes.
They're the two I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 2 Point Hospital, it's $49 at JB. I think that's worth it. Like, I've just sort of looked at some of the other stats. So you've got 21 hospitals in total to build through your time in the game, and I'm up to like 4, and I've pumped in probably 5 hours, something like that, 6 hours, give or take, because it depends on how quickly you want to do it, because obviously once you get your hospitals up to a certain grade, they naturally then go, okay, now you're going to the next county and further developing the 2 Point Hospital hierarchy and global domination. So you can either
Franchise.
just choose to sit on one and turn it into the best thing ever, or just keep moving on and getting harder and harder challenges. And there's 119 illnesses to cure in the game, so 119 different ailments that you need to try and work through. And it's just good fun. It's just a good mindless bit of entertainment, some good laughs. There's a good little soundtrack and good voiceover work in it too. So it's not just like in a lot of these Sims, you know, when the characters themselves talk, it's like, it's actually like proper voice work and things with the characters.
Hey,
so
I like
you've got a
Simish.
nice little level of immersion.
Like, finish.
No, Simish. Simish. It's the term for the Sims talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's really good, and it's been a good distraction for me the past few weeks. And yeah, if you got 50 clams to spare and looking for a nice simulated distraction where you can save people in digital worlds, mate, 2 Point Hospital is certainly worth a look. Can't recommend it highly enough. It's on PC, it's on Xbox and PlayStation 4, and now on the Switch. And on the Switch, it's great. Just take that hospital on the go and cure all the sickies.
God, everything's good on the Switch.
Amen. I love the Switch. But yeah, more Apex. Don't really need to talk too much about that. Been playing the new timed event they're running at the moment, which has got Deja Loot, it's called. So in that, all the loot spawned in the exact same crates every single instance of the game. So you die right now, you go back to, let's say you go back into the town in that one crate where the R301's there, it'll be there every single time. So there's a lot of strategy where you're getting just a lot of clusters of people dropping in the same spots because they know that's where the best loot is. So it gets very, 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 very dicey. Yeah. I feel like I'm getting worse the more I play this, which makes no sense to me, but I just feel like my skills are degrading with every kill that I am part of when it's on myself. So, yeah, Apex, stick it up your bum, but I love you. And I got Warlords of New York, and I'm going to start playing that this weekend for the Division 2. So I'm going back to the Division.
Oh, he's going
I saw
back.
Benny
this
playing
expansion.
that. I saw Benny playing that the other night. So.
Yeah. So I'm excited to roll that out on the PC. So anyone else, any agents out there that want to roll out Brendan 8-Bit on Uplay, come kill some bad people in New York with me, and then we can go get some pizza. All right, Miss Hart, what you got? What you been playing? What you been doing?
Okay, so I've been nagged to actually play this title, so I finally did. It's a game called Frostpunk, which I think maybe Nato is very familiar with.
Yeah, that's the game Kaz used to stream always. So
Yeah. So it's, city building survival game. So, definitely something that sounds like something I would actually enjoy. So it being recommended to me is very fair.
It's on Game Pass on Xbox at the moment as well.
Oh, that's
nice.
good. I'm playing it
Yeah.
on PC, so on Steam. So, but it's good that it's a part of Game Pass. I've been preaching Game Pass lately.
God, it's so good.
Yeah. So like the concept is like you're a ruler of like the last city on Earth, and your duty is to like manage the citizens and infrastructure and laws and everything just to keep them functioning. And like it's good. Like graphically, it's great. Game design wise, it's gorgeous. Musically wise, the music's fantastic. But there's something in regards to the way the game plays out that kind of constantly puts me at halt. And a lot of the times it's because your people will have like issues with things, and whether it's being overworked, whether it's too cold, because the central hub is this steamed like mechanism that you've got to power up because it's essentially like Ice Age, really. So you've got to keep everyone warm, you've got to keep them fed, got to keep them happy, got to give them hope, because, you know, everything's decided by a hope and a discontent meter that, you know, you're...
How does one get hope? Is it sort of just by keeping them warm, or is there more to that?
There's more to it. So there's a lot of instances where your townspeople will voice their concerns about something. It might be something in regards to medical concerns. People are getting sick. They want a medical bay. So
just send them to my hospital. I'll look after them and I'll send them back.
Yeah, I'll send them to Brendan.
Everyone will be happy.
They can catch one of the other 100 and so diseases that he's got going on over there. So what usually happens is they'll express like a bubble of concern. So then you click it to participate in like what they're asking for. And usually you can, you know, agree with them. There's like usually like a short agreement or a strong agreement, or just absolutely say no, go screw yourself. And usually what you choose is what's going to move the meter, move the bar. And so I can't play this for starters because I feel like in order to succeed in this game, you've got to be a bit of an asshole.
So you should be perfect for it.
Well, I'm delightful, thank you very much, when it comes to fictional characters. So there's like instances where it's like, oh, do you want to build a cemetery or maybe a ditch? Well, I always went down the cemetery route, but it seems like the ditch route is better because you can harvest organs.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you the question. How many times have you used child labor?
Never.
No? You
Never.
didn't
Holy
child
moly.
I never
God,
used
man.
child labor.
The child labor is so good. You just gotta suck it up and say, all right, children, it's the apocalypse, you need to work.
Get to work, little Timmy.
Yeah. It's like a genuine question of like, do you want to use child labor?
And then if you say, like in my case where I say no child labor, I build them like a safe house. There's like some old lady that comes up and goes, those good for nothing kids, they need to be pulling their weight around here. I'm like,
yep.
Yeah, old bitch, go die in the ditch.
Or the cemetery in your case.
Yeah, my cemetery. Well, I finally did the ditch because I didn't realize the ditch was free. So.
Yes.
But so this game definitely, you know, in relation to games that are similar in regards to building like infrastructure cities and then developing and, you know, research and just everything that you usually find in like city builders, just having that element that really, you know, pulls on your heartstrings and gives you kind of like a moral compass, like to, you know, go between, it really adds a difficulty element. And like I said, for me, it's kind of like, it's like unnecessary speed humps, because with games that I'm used to, you know, your Age of Empires, your StarCrafts and all that sort of stuff, like with those kind of building elements, like you don't have to worry about, you know, little Timmy dying. Like it's like, it just happens.
Just
he didn't have a name.
Chuck him in the ditch.
Exactly. But then this game literally brings up a very detailed graphic of little Timmy, like, frozen to his under, boogers freezing out of his nose with little puppy dog eyes, and then it's just like, send the kids to work in the friggin' ice caves, or, you know, in the neck-high snow.
We can always make new babies, all right?
Well, I've actually done pretty well, I must say. When my biggest issue was I had too much coal. It said that they didn't have any more room to collect coal, and then all of a sudden, I had no coal, and then everyone froze to death.
Was that just a game glitch, or was it like the people rose up and stole the coal. Like,
I don't know.
I'm looking at some video, and it's got to be the bleakest sort of simulation world builder game I've ever seen. It is heavy,
bleak as hell. But there was definitely a time, actually, speaking about streaming, where everyone was streaming it, so it was very prominent on my radar. But because I guess of its bleakness and its very restricted zone, like the very circular zone that it gives you, it didn't appeal to me. It seemed very restricting. It seemed very claustrophobic.
You didn't like getting boxed in.
I don't like being boxed in. So, but, overall, I can see why it's successful. It is a great game. It's fun. And it's obviously a different angle on those kind of city building survival games. So I'm glad it got recommended to me. It was definitely an experience. I just don't
The developers are really nice as well.
Oh, from 11-bit?
Yeah, they've popped into, like, when Kaz used to stream it, they used to pop into her stream and chat to her about it and stuff like that. They're really nice.
Yeah, they should be honestly really proud. Like I said, it's actually a really gorgeous game. For something that looks so bleak, it's actually a really good-looking game. And the atmosphere, like there you go. Like, the atmosphere is obviously really well conveyed because it did really make me feel kind of grief in my decision. So, I think if you are a fan of city builders, you should definitely give it a go. Because it's an experience. It's a different one.
40 buckaroos on Steam and free on Game Pass, as Nato said. So you got some choices. I think I'm going to, especially on Game Pass, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to get that on the download queue after this episode because I've got a real itch at the moment for world builders and stuff like that. So,
do you know what else dropped yesterday as well that you shouldn't be playing video games and you should be watching instead? New Castlevania dropped yesterday.
I know, and it's getting really good. Apparently, the best
10
season.
out of 10.
10 out of 10 from IGN.
I watched the first half of the episode before we started, and it is chef kiss.
I need to check. Like, I still haven't watched season 2 yet because I'm going to do a fresh run with Rach and pull her through it so we can just cram it all in one session.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so keen for it. So keen for it.
Wow, so you're going on how good season 1 was. Oh man, season 2 makes season 1 look bad.
And then I'm guessing season 3 makes season 2 look average by the sounds of these reviews.
Yeah.
So, mate, the Castlevania Netflix bar is just through the roof right now. So I'm keen as a bean. Randomly, I'm not going to dive deep.
We've suffered through years of bad video game movies, and now we've had The Witcher, Castlevania.
Yeah, we're in a renaissance.
Yeah.
Speaking of renaissances, I've been watching Buffy late night before bed. It's on Foxtel. And it's just on like at that sort of time when we're jumping into bed, getting ready to sleep. So it's always on the background. It's such a campy, great show.
I never watched it.
So good.
I was never a part of the Buffy groups.
That's what like that Monster of the Week thing that Kaz uses for her thing
for
is
Welcome
based
to Knob Switch. Yeah.
That's all like your Buffys, your Charmed, your like Grimms and stuff like that. That's how that style was built. People that just loved watching those kind of shows.
Yeah. But no, it's great. So Nato, tell us.
Yes.
I know you've got some things you want to get off your chest, apart from the shirt that you're not wearing right now. What have you been doing and playing?
30
Tell us the
degrees
things.
At 5 o'clock in the morning. So I want to talk about the fucking how Pokemon is becoming like Destiny recently. And it's just blowing my mind, especially for the DLCs that are about to come out in June and October. I can't remember when the second one drops. But there was like the big thing of like, oh yeah, it's endgame content, but like everyone's was kind of like, even myself, of just like, what do you do with endgame content in Pokemon? Like you have the competition battles and stuff like that, but like story stuff, like how were they going to expand? And Pokemon Day was, I think, last week or the week after, and for Pokemon Day they started dropping these Mewtwo raids into Sword and Shield. Like you guys have all played Sword and Shield. You've fought the Gigantamax battles and stuff like that. For anyone that hasn't, now in this new one you can verse like big versions of Pokemon, and like you and 3 other friends or 3 computer players get to verse these like thing. And up until now they've been pretty like easy, like as long as you went in
I'm undefeated in them all. I haven't lost one.
As soon as you went in with like, especially even late game, if you went in with a level 100, you usually can win these. They're pretty easy and stuff like that. Cue these Mewtwo battles. So at first I was like, oh cool, I want to go in and catch some Mewtwo's and stuff like that. And then I saw in the news that in like the video game news that you can't actually catch them. Like you have to beat them and they drop these endgame items and stuff like that are usually pretty hard to get. I was like, oh, all right, I'll go in and have a go. And I teamed up with some randoms online and proceeded to get my ass fucking crushed. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm just using the wrong Pokemon. So I start like getting some of my level 100 guys. Proceeded to get crushed again for another probably 2-3 days. And then like I've gone online and like everyone's starting to like, we've all got to come together and figure out strategies, and like everyone's like, all right, I'm going to bring these Pokemon to the battles and I'm going to have these moves. And there's this like now this huge Pokemon culture at the moment trying to, that like while these raids were out, to try and figure out how to beat these Mewtwo's together and stuff like that, because they're just these super powered things. And it was just so insane to see like early Destiny in these Pokemon raids. And I was just like, okay, like I didn't even think Pokemon could become like this. And then like this nearly Galahorn culture evolved of like, if you had this certain Pokemon, people would be like, yes, all right, you're allowed into my raid and stuff like that. Like it reminded me of Crota times of like, oh, if I've got the Galahorn, yep, come into our raid group so we can beat this.
So what Pokemon is the Galahorn equivalent for this Mewtwo battle? Who stands up strongest against the
It was
mighty
this
Mewtwo?
mythical Pokemon called Marshadow that like, oh god, 2-3 years ago that could only you could get in an event to download and stuff like that. So, and it has this single move, like its signature move, that like when it attacked Mewtwo, it could like suck its buffs that it had. Like Mewtwo would buff up during the battle and it would take its buff and buff itself, and also Mewtwo would lose its buffs. So every time Mewtwo tried to charge up, you could use that Pokemon to steal its buffs and then like buff the team, and then you'd have like a healer, and then you'd have a Pokemon that could set up barriers, and then you'd have like a DPS character to try and get this Mewtwo going. And it was just watching this culture evolve of us, like the Pokemon community trying to beat these Mewtwo's. Like it was on for a good 4 days, didn't beat one Mewtwo the whole time I was going. Like that's how hard these battles were. And it's just, I just never...
It's something unknown from Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Like it's something you'd never expect to see in this world that's typically, angled towards the youth for the most part, these games. But it seems they've really doubled down on mature content now.
Yeah, like competition culture has been pretty strong and stuff like that. But like in-game, like like multiplayer, like, PvE kind of content, like we just never expected this kind of thing from Pokemon. And it just gave me a lot of hope for endgame content in the future for these DLCs coming out, of like, if these are the kind of raid battles we'll get where like you have to literally, get on Discord or get on Reddit and like come together with a group of people to actually beat these Pokemon. It was so cool. And like just to see like nearly a Galahorn appear in the Pokemon culture of WoW, I was like, if you have this one Pokemon, everyone will want to be with you and stuff like that.
It's
awesome.
Pretty cool. It's very unlike anything from Pokemon, at least that I've experienced or that I'm aware of. So it's nice that they are getting away from that more entry level, accessible content and putting something for the diehard fans, really. And I like that
they've always had the
strats.
PvP culture, but like to now build a PvE
level.
culture, it's just been like, what? Just never expected it. Especially with Mewtwo, who's like just this legendary icon of legendary Pokemon especially with the Mewtwo movie redropping and stuff like that. It was just...
I haven't watched it yet.
I was just going to say, wouldn't it be disappointing if he was, like, easy to figure out? Like...
Yeah. Well, that's what we all thought it was going to be. Like, just, Mewtwo's dropping, cool, we get to beat him and fight him. And then he came in and was just, like, as scary as he was in the movie. He just, like... Because sometimes you'd go in and he'd one-shot a Pokemon, like, easy. Like, your level 100 super raised Pokemon, he'd just be like...
It's because he speed's off the charts, so he'd get like 1 or 2 shots in. Like I'm just watching some highlights and people battling, and just watching this guy one shot so many Pokemon.
Yeah,
and it's insane. And then he pops up the shield until you hit the shield 6 times before you can do damage. By then, most of these squads I'm watching are wiped.
That's what I mean. It like super reminded me of Crota. Like they've always had that in the raids of like when you got them to a certain health, they'd build these like little shield barriers up, and so until you broke down the barrier, you could hurt him again. But before now, it was just a inconvenience of like, oh shit, the shield's up. All right, let's take it down. But now like with this Mewtwo battle, because like when they have the shield up, they can't be like status effects can't affect them, and usually like extra abilities that your moves would do don't really like activate while they have the shield up. So like it became this like, oh, okay, the shield's up. All right, now let's build all our barriers and heal everybody and like just let the DPS knock that shield off. Let's recover our team and stuff like that. And it was just, it was like being back in Crota raids again. It was like so cool that Pokemon could do that.
How do you feel about it though? Obviously, it was a timed event. It ended up like it wrapped on 1st of March in the United States. But when you beat Mewtwo, you weren't able to capture that Pokemon. Does that upset you though? That after this big battle, you get maybe like a bottle cap and some other things?
No, because well, like that's the thing. These bottle caps are more rarer than like anything in like Pokemon, and like they could drop like the ability capsules, which are worth like 50 battle points. And for like anyone that doesn't realize what they are, you get 1 battle point each time you do a battle in like the end game content, like the PvP content. So to get an item that's worth 50 points is just, and like he would drop multiple of those items. So you could it was nearly equivalent to like a day's worth of grinding in PvP.
Yeah, for a 20-minute battle or something.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was really cool because like then you can use those items to get you up to like top level content in PvP. Like in the same way you can use in Destiny, like you get that raid gear, and then you could chuck it on yourself to be high enough level to go into the PvP content and stuff like that. Yeah. It was really cool.
So I see you're also a big advocate or user of Pokemon Home. How's that been going for you? Because I still haven't touched it. Miss Hart, I'm assuming you haven't jumped on Home.
Nope.
I installed it on my Switch, but that's as far as it's gotten for me.
All right, so this is a 2-point thing of like, it's nearly a gateway drug of like Pokemon Home dropped, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just use it to kind of chuck all my Pokemon in, and then like it's filled with all these like achievements and scores and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, okay, and because I'd finally finished a Pokedex for the first time since like Red or Blue, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my journey and try and get every Pokemon in Pokemon and stuff like that. And then so I've gone back to old versions, I've started collecting, and then I realized there's one Pokemon you can't get in any of the games, but you can get on that goddamn mobile app, Pokemon Go. So I sucked up my pride and downloaded Pokemon Go since the first week of Pokemon Go's launch, where I played it for a week when it launched and I hated it. And I've never gone back to Pokemon Go because I'm like, that's not my Pokemon. Not that it's bad or anything like that. It's just that's not what I want from Pokemon. And now I've been going for 6-hour walks around my suburb, spinning Pokestops and collecting things. And now I'm deep in Pokemon Go, and it's killing my pride.
It's not so bad, is it? You're saying it's not so bad.
Look, it's been getting me out of the house. Like because of my work, I've become more hermity in my house because it's just easy to relax after a 12-hour shift. But now I've been getting home and going for like a 20-minute walk around my suburb to, get some fresh air and spin some Pokestops so I can get some Pokeballs to catch some Pokemon to finish the, I don't know, the quest you have to do to get these Meltangs. Like, because that's all I want. As soon as that, hopefully that is my like end goal with Pokemon Go. I get my Meltang, I get enough Meltangs to evolve it, and then I can delete the app and not have to touch it ever again. But at the moment, I'm pretty addicted, and I have to admit it. At the moment,
Meltang just looks like a Ditto with a lug nut on the top of its head.
It's not a good Pokemon, but I want it to complete the Pokedex, and it's killing me. Yeah, cool. But yeah, that's me at the moment. I've been trying to fill out my Pokedex on Pokemon Home, try and get all the achievements. Been trading online with a whole bunch of people. It's been pretty fun.
Have you gotten any like really massive one-sided trade wins where you've tossed up, I don't know, like a level 5 Magikarp or whatever and got something boss back, or has it been pretty flat, pretty even?
A few times, like I've got like. So for anyone that's not in, like, I'm pretty sure you guys as well that are not in like the breeding shiny world and stuff like that. There's ways to like increase your chances of getting shinies in like when you breed and when you catch Pokemon and stuff like that. And when you breed, one of them is a foreign language Pokemon. It like doubles the rate of your chance of getting a shiny. So like I've been getting a whole bunch of like great Pokemon I love, like a Japanese Gengar and all those, and I've been using them to actually breed a lot of shiny Pokemon, and been great because they've also been trading to me with like amazing stats while I've just been giving them absolute garbage like Rattatas and stuff like that. So it's been
Charm
good.
your way to success.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been fun, especially because like there's a thing called like Wonder Trade where you just put a Pokemon in a box and like it will just randomly send it to another trainer that's set a Pokemon into it, and that's where I've been getting most of these like gems coming to me. It's been
That's
great.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool that people are actually being pretty fair and throwing some quality in those
which
boxes
has
instead
now
of
made
trash.
me guilty, and I've like, oh, I better put some good Pokemon in as well, just to kind of like even out the karma of the good stuff I've been getting as well.
Yeah. Speaking of good stuff, Mythic Quest, Miss Hart, what do you think about it? I haven't watched any of it yet, but I'm excited. Like from the trailers and things I've seen and some of the chatter on the internet, it looks like it's something right up our wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's actually really, really good. There's been elements that kind of like threw me off, but for the most part, it's actually a really good show, very watchable. It's Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet. This is the TV show that was created by like the guys from Always Sunny.
Oh,
Yeah, because like
Charlie Day and Rob McElhaney
Yeah.
were the men behind this one, which is
yeah,
cool.
and Megan Gans is like a producer on Always Sunny as well. So those three guys have produced this, game-based, TV show. The general plot is Mythic Quest is like the biggest MMORPG in the world. It's like, it's like World of Warcraft kind of thing. And they're currently in the process of like releasing their major expansion, which is called Raven's Banquet. And it's essentially like all the drama that kind of goes around with like developing a game and launching a expansion and dealing with all the different sections of like a game studio and, the over egotistical creator, a writer, the people who's in charge of the money, which is actually Danny Pudi?
Danny Pudi, who played Abed.
Community. Seeing him as an asshole is great. He does it so well. So, like...
this looks good.
It's actually pretty damn good. It doesn't really suffocate you in the face of, like, gaming, hey, gamers. Like, it does it very subtly. And it's just a very interesting look. It also has Ashley Birch, which might be... someone that
voiced Aloy.
That's right.
My main video game Squeeze from a few years ago.
That's right. And she's also Tiny Tina in Borderlands. And I think she played someone in Life is Strange as well. I think she did some work on that.
She played a lot of characters.
I'm almost finished. I think I've only got a few more episodes in. I want to give a special nod. Right in the middle of the season, there's this really good episode that focuses on a couple who develops a game studio in like the early 90s and kind of like how the environment evolved and how it became like major studios eating up little studios and then just selling out. It's a really good episode. It's got the actor from The New Girl in it. I can't remember his name, but overall,
Who played Schmidt, or you mean Jake Johnson?
I have no
who
idea.
Plays?
He was the scruffier guy with the beard.
Yeah, Nick Miller. Yeah, Jake Johnson.
Yeah, so
Love that guy.
Yeah, he was great in this episode as well. So like I said, overall, it's not shoved down your throat. It's not overly like, like it's just well paced, well made, good comedy, good good writing, and lovable and hateable characters. Also, there's a character in it as well who Charlotte Nicardo, I think her name is, or Nick Dow. She's actually Australian, and she's an Australian character as well. So, like, she lets the accent fly. So it's good to see some. And she, she also talks about females in gaming, and that she can be just as stressed out as the guys, and how the lead engineer and all the stresses that they kind of deal with, and how different sections kind of butt heads, and how one section needs the other, etc., etc. It's good. They've already been renewed for a second season. I think they got that confirmation in mid-January this year.
Yeah, so, before it even started airing, they got the green light for season 2, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm keen to give this a go. I need to get Apple TV though.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, anyone that's
got the Guild vibes. That's what it reminds me of. The Guild, if you ever watched the Guild back in the day.
No, well, they actually talk about guilds in this as well, but I won't spoil it.
It's an old Felicia Day web series. It was great.
Well, then I think everyone would probably love this. So
Yeah. 9 episodes, 30-minute bangers. Looks good. Looks good. You know what else looks good, but I still haven't played it yet either because I'm clearly not on top of my game. Final Fantasy VII Remake, the demo dropped this past week. The world melted down instantly when this was like announced. It's
Because it
like,
was
hey,
a surprise
here's a demo.
drop. Yeah.
Go get it right now sort of thing. And the world's like, bah! I'm still like, bah, but I haven't even played it nor downloaded it. So, Nato, you have downloaded it and played it. Tell me what your experience is. Because my understanding, it's about an hour or so, the run time on this demo.
Yeah, and it's like a good... It probably is set probably an hour or two into the game. Because like when I have played and finished 7, but I really am not one of these fanboys that have gone back. And so like I was trying to pick where this was when it first loaded. I was like, oh, this isn't the start. But man, it's real good. Like the graphics, how I was more impressed how it handles, because I was wondering, that's the big thing over the years of like how they've changed the combat styles here and there in Final Fantasy. Some people love this style, some people like that style, and it seems to be like this hybrid and let you choose between kind of how it works. Like it has a classic mode and then like how it used to play, and then this new, like when you pick normal mode, it's like their new hybrid of, it's real time, but it's still, you know what it feels like? A bit like Dragon Age. How like Dragon Age, you can, I think it was like Inquisitions where you could like hit the button to like
you could build up attacks, yeah.
But then you could like hit one of the buttons and it would like freeze time, and you could kind of like do it more of a turn-based strategy-ish and stuff like that. And that's kind of how, like, the combat style I was playing it in, and I kind of appreciated it a lot. It doesn't really stop. It kind of just, like, slows down time to a crawl, similar to, like, a Mass Effect, where, like, when you'd bring up your gauge mid-battle, and everything would slow you down, but it wouldn't stop. So, yeah, it was good. You can switch characters, has, you know, Gun Boy and Sword Boy. And yeah, had a great time. I'm pretty much buying this now. Like that's how good the demo was.
The demo sold it to you that much where you're like, I'm in.
Yeah, as I said, not a big 7 fan, more of the 2D Final Fantasies, your 6 and your Advanced Tactics and Tactics. I love all them. Later 3D ones have never really hooked me ever. So I'm glad. Like it's beautiful, and like every time I've tried to go back to play 7, I'm like, this looks like absolute trash. I don't know how anyone says this looks good. Early 3D graphics were bad. And I'm not just saying that for Final Fantasy. All early 3D graphics were bad. Like, you go back to N64 era and you're like, woof. Yeah, these did not age well. 2Ds aged well, but 3D did not age well at all. So, I've been waiting for something to look beautiful.
Yeah, this game looks absolutely stunning. Like, my goodness. It is stretching the PlayStation 4 to its limits, I think. Like, they are getting
I don't think it was. I don't know if it was
piece
the
of
demo.
juice out of it.
I don't know if it was just because it was a demo, but for once, my PlayStation didn't sound like a jet engine running a game on it. So, I don't know if that was the demo or whether they've just optimized it so well that the PlayStation doesn't have to, like, you know, go into orbit to try and play a game.
Yeah, but it looks good. Like, it's only an 8 gig download from the PlayStation Store, so anyone that is hankering to get on it, it's not going to take you several days to download that size patch. So, yeah, it's interesting, but they have sort of came out and said, hey, this demo may differ very much from the final retail version of the game, but it's going to give you enough of a itch scratch to get you keen, I think, for when this drops next month. What is it? Is it the 10th? 10th of April?
Yeah, April 10th, I think. No, 11th. 11th? I think so. Maybe that's just for
It's within a week of Resident Evil 3. That's all I know. I know they're a week apart. So, yeah.
But yeah, like, anyone that was not even on the fence, like, of just like, I have spare cash to play with, go give the demo a try, because I'm pretty sure it might sell you. Yeah.
I want to see more studios do this with their AAAs coming up. Like, give us these... Harken back to our youth where there is demo.
Apparently, it's really hard to do. Demos.
It would probably be a pain in the ass, but like, I think as you said, like, you've been on the fence about this game. You got the demo, you played the demo, you're like, fuck, day one purchase for me now. Let's go. So I wonder what kind of spike they're seeing off the back of this demo for pre-orders and things based off this hype. So yeah, I'm keen. Like, I'm not a Final Fantasy boy in any way, shape, or form, but this game intrigues me, and I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, this demo is perfect for you then. Like, this demo is aimed at you. Like, because that's what I mean. Like, everyone knows the culture behind 7. Like, they don't need this demo to sell it to the 7 boys. Like, they're just going to, like, kill somebody to get that game. They don't need their demo. This demo is for people like me and you, and I don't know how you are, Ali, because I know you haven't got a PlayStation at all at the moment either, so...
I can't decide.
Yeah, this is for people that either are not thinking about it or are on the fence on it. Like, it really is. So go try it. If you were like, oh, I didn't like 7, or I don't care about 7, like, this is the demo for you to try to see if it, tickles any pickles.
Yeah, I'm going to play it this week. I'm going to commit to playing it this week, and I'll give my very naive, unfamiliar Final Fantasy feedback next week on episode 186. But yeah, let's shift some gears. Quick little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, 8bitnation.net, shop8bit.net, 8bit.net, youtube.com/we are 8bit. They are all those centralized hubs and links. 8bitnation.net is the main page you want to be checking out, because that's got direct links to our web store, to our Patreon, to our Discord, Facebook, so on and so forth. On the Patreon front, the 8bit Family Portrait 2020 is looking so good. I've seen finished versions now of Salim the Dream, John O'Peck, Nathan Tilly Laurie, who is one of our fantastic fans and who has just kicked off the Can't Game podcast that we mentioned last week, so give them a listen. I know Nato is getting mocked up as we speak as John Constantine. So we'll see how that comes out and get some updates, but we will be sharing some images this week of the new art style and the mock-ups and mashups we're getting done, because they look so good. Really, really excited for that. On an unrelated note, Keanu Reeves has put his hand up and said, "Hey, I'm open to coming back and playing John Constantine in the DC film universe. If you want me to, fellas, just let me know." So, interesting.
Like that is a good, different take of Constantine. Like, I love that movie, and I love, like, as anyone could know now because I'm picked Constantine as my character. Like, I love Hellblazer universe and Constantine, but that's not Constantine.
He's not grizzled enough.
No, I know they, like, especially DC, don't like crossing their TV show and movie universe, but the Constantine that plays Constantine in the TV show, like...
Yeah.
And, God, it nearly made me cry when they brought him back for, what is it, Legends of Tomorrow or whatever?
Bang on the money.
Yeah, like, he is just the personification in both look and attitude to play Constantine, that just, like... dead inside, but I still need to save the world kind of attitude. And it was just like, that's what I mean. Like, the Keanu Reeves version did a good take on it, but it's not Constantine at all. Like, you need that blonde British attitude, and just perfect he is. Like, there's not a perfect more version of him at all.
Also, we have to agree that Keanu Reeves can't really act well. He seems to be good for action when he doesn't have to say much, but he can't act well.
Yeah, I could see, if they are going to bring him back into that universe, I could see Colin Farrell.
Don't you
doing
notice that in
Constantine.
John Wick he doesn't speak a lot? He doesn't have a lot of spoken roles.
But you know what, Miss Hart? He thinks he's back.
Yeah, I think I'm back.
He is.
I love Keanu Reeves, but I'm sorry. Like, if you want a character like Constantine, and I'm only familiar with him when he appears in my other DC comics, he's very, like, semi-charismatic, but also, like you said, dead inside. But he has this kind of, like, dark, humorous kind of sarcasm about him. It's a personality-based character. And so you need a good actor behind it.
Colin Farrell, baby. That's who should play Constantine if they redo it.
Colin.
But he's got that look, and he is charismatic, dead inside. He's got, obviously,
not in the way
not
Constantine
English.
is.
Am I thinking of the right one? Are you talking about, what was his name in Daredevil? Am I got the right person?
Bullseye.
That's the same guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying a hard no on that one.
No, I can see it.
Way.
Watch, like, In Bruges, watch
I've
even
seen
the Total
Bruges.
Recall remake.
I love him in that, but that's not Constantine. Constantine's dead inside because of how fucked up his life has been trying to save people, and every time he tries to do something good, something bad happens to his life, and he constantly has to shoulder all of this horror in his life, and that's why he has to be dead inside, because it would just wreck a person's life to think about how fucked up.
I think
things
Colin
he's had
Farrell's
to do.
pretty dead inside, probably in real life. Like, he has had a very heavy drug addiction and alcohol addiction, and he's
That's
got
what
that
I mean.
look.
Wrong, different dead inside. He's just a bad person.
It's a different kind of dead inside.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
multiple layers of dead inside.
Yeah.
My goodness. But yeah, I'm super keen to share some of those photos this week of the family portrait. But yeah, get amongst that if you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/weare8bit. From as little as $1, you get exclusive access to podcast content and giveaways. But at that $10 tier, you'll get your own person immortalized as whoever you want to be resembled from the DC or Marvel universe for $10 a month, which is a steal. Custom artwork ain't cheap, so you are getting it for next to nothing. All right, one little quick thing before we jump into the news.
iTunes
Soundboard right
review
there,
of the
because
week.
Soundboard doesn't work. God damn it. And this iTunes review comes via way of iTunes user Double Flusher. So I'm assuming that's toilet oriented for one. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
like
double
maybe
flush.
big poos, or just want to make sure nothing comes back. But 5 out of 5 stars, so thank you for that Double Flusher. And the iTunes review headline, keeping the emotional lights on. And then the review reads, love what you guys do, even with the turnover of hosts. You still bring an infectious and accessible energy to every episode. The constant guest hosts are also a great idea. #stay hungry. So Nato, you are indirectly part of this review because, yes, you are one of the constant guest hosts right now. So Double Flusher.
So Brendan, I'm part of every review, all right?
Yeah, you do make an appearance in a lot of these
You have.
reviews, I'll give you that. You've made a lasting impression, that's for damn sure. But Double Flusher, thank you for that review. It really means a lot. 5 stars, taking the time out of your day or night to drop those thoughts down on Apple or iTunes or whatever platform you're utilizing on, because those reviews mean an awful lot to us podcasters. It helps keep us tracking, helps keep us relevant. And yeah, it takes no time out of your day and it costs you nothing. So that's the best way to support all your podcasters that you are listening to on the reg. But yeah, let's jump into some news.
This week's news headlines.
So we're going to do something a little bit differently this week. And we've got 6 news headlines. But we're going to do something called This or That. So we're not going to be covering all 6 of these subtopics. We are going to be giving the headline of these reviews. You two here, Nato and Ali, you'll be deciding which one we talk about in depth, and we'll leave the other one in the rearview mirror in the dust. So headline number 1, this. Microsoft unveils 2 new controllers.
Okay.
Or that. Sony's Uncharted film gets its 7th director. Miss Hart, lead us off. You going this or you going that?
I want a bit of that, thanks.
You want a bit of that? All right. Sony's beleaguered and quite possibly cursed Uncharted movie, which has so far managed to lose a total of 6 directors since its unveiling in 2009, has a brave new soul at the helm, this time in the form of Ruben Fleischer, the man behind Zombieland and Shudder's Venom. Fleischer's hiring, first reported by Variety, follows the departure of Bumblebee director Travis Knight back in January. Knight superseded 10 Cloverfield Lane director Dan Trachtenberg, who stepped in after Night at the Museum director Sean Levy left the project. And prior to that, Seth Gordon, Neil Berger, and David O. Russell were all attached to direct at one time or another. Despite the revolving door of directors, Spider-Man's Tom Holland continues to lead the cast as a young Nathan Drake in Fleischer's movie, while Mark Wahlberg, who was originally set to play Drake in an early and in quotes highly dubious stab at the project, remains on board as his mentor Sully. Sony's Uncharted movie will no longer meet its previously announced December 2020 release date and is now due to hit cinemas on 5th of March next year. 7th time's a charm, eh?
No.
7 directors. What in the hell?
This is the Duke Nukem Forever of movies.
Oh my god.
And if it's anything like
And
the
it's gonna
game,
be
it's not
just
going to be
as
very good.
No, it's just going to be as good as Duke Nukem Forever as well. Jesus Christ, just bury it.
Exactly.
Like Indiana Jones is not even that good these days. Like, we got Crystal Skull and we're all like, nah, okay, we can't do this kind of movie anymore.
That's the only Indiana Jones movie I've seen.
What? Oh, you poor soul. No wonder you would not be
Temple of
interested in something
Doom.
like this.
Get on some Temple of Doom immediately.
Kalima.
Like, you're right though. Like, maybe we should just pack this movie up because
Just
you know
pack it
what?
up.
We've got The Mummy and we've got National Treasure, and if you ask me, those are like the perfect movies that kind of summarize what this would be about. Like, it's failed. I'm sorry. Like, let's just get rid of it. Let's forget about it. It's not happening.
It sounds very Warner Brothers, where like, if this many directors are coming in and going, that means the higher ups are putting their fingers in too much, and I think they're either getting kicked out or like the director's like, well, fuck you, if you won't let me do my movie, I'm out. That's what it sounds like. And it sounds like, so we're just going to get the quality of the current DC films where like
they're just going to mail it in.
They stick their fingers in too much, and then the cast and crew don't care as much, and then you get the performances that you get in the current DC movies. And that's from a big DC fan.
Yeah, my heart of heart just wants them to throw some money behind the team that did that little unrelated Nathan Fillion offshoot where it was like that 7 or 9 minute movie they made.
See, I don't even want that. Like, I loved that, but only because it was that short and small. I reckon if that was in a longer form, I'd be like, this is bad.
Nah, I'd be all about it. I'd watch Nathan Fillion eat corn pops in the morning. Like, I just love him for some reason. He's just one of those characters where I'm just like, or just one of those people where I'm like, there's something about you that I'm very intrigued and mystified by, and I just want to watch him in all things. Like, I know that sounds very creepy.
So, Mr. Nathan Fillion, we know you listen to this podcast, so if you want to set up an ASMR, you definitely have a fan in Brendan.
Oh, yeah.
He'll
I'd
be
drop
there
some
watching
Hey,
you eat
I
cereal.
would watch that too. I just want to say.
Yeah. So,
Everyone's got their
sadly,
thing.
we'll never see the ASMR, or we'll never see the Uncharted Nathan Fillion offshoot, but we're going to get this. Like, I like Tom Holland, and I think he's a great young actor, and he'll throw a lot of passion into this project, but as you said, Nato, I think this movie is just about doomed before it even hits production. And like Mark Wahlberg as Sully, like, can you just picture him as like an older Sully? And he's like, "Hey Drake, you want to go get some treasure? Do you want to go over here? Hey, ooh, look at this artifact!" And it's just like, oh my god, kill me.
But I've
now.
been surprised. I've been surprised about video game stuff recently. Like Sonic, I thought people would go in and mail in a performance in that, and then that was some of the best performance from those people I've ever seen in a movie. So I was just like, I'm leaving an open mind now for video game movies because Sonic has changed my mind. It's not a good film, but God, did I have fun watching something like that. So maybe I'll have the same experience with Uncharted, where it's not a good film, but I had a good time watching it. So.
Yeah. Miss Hart, when are you going to go watch the Sonic movie? Like, because you are the biggest Sonic fan I know. So I'm just waiting.
Ali, Sega boy, love Sonic. I will admit the bad games are bad, but I absolutely had the best time with them as a kid. Like, they are the greatest games I've played
You are
in my
not
life.
winning me with your argument here.
No, look, they don't handle well. They're not good games at all. If you on paper,
You might want
but
to just stop.
God, they are fun.
You just want to stop.
But
right now.
this Sonic movie blew my mind. Love it. Love my little blue boy.
To answer your question, Brendan, when I have people that pitch to me like Sega Boy over here did, it's not a winning argument, but I do want to see it. I just want to know what kind of what kind of experience I want. Remember, it was the whole old lady
You want the
thing.
early
Like, I don't
bird
want
special.
kids in my cinema. Like, I want to be a bitter old lady and just have like a very empty cinema. So yeah.
Mine was packed. Mine was full when I went and saw Sonic. Like the whole cinema was full, and all the kids were quiet the whole film. It was beautiful.
We had these teenagers behind us, and there was this one little dickhead that was just trying to be the funny dude with running commentary through the movie until Rach and I were doing the daggers at him, and then Rach said something, then this kid piped down because he was just, he's there trying to make like little funny dick jokes and whatever to his little prepubescent mates beside him, thinking he's the dude in the cinema.
I love how
hate kids
Brendan's
like that.
saying this, and I can guarantee Brendan was that exact same kid. When
No,
he was a teenager.
I'm very much like, even from when I was a kid, like when we'd watch like VHS at home with the family and I'd say something, my mum would like look at me like she's going to punch me in the face. So I learned at a very young age to sit, be quiet, enjoy the movie. So no, I was never
God,
one of
I
them
met your
talkers.
mum, so I could just imagine those death
I know.
scenes.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
just an aura of sweetness. So the fact that
No, she has the vibe of my mum, where like anyone that is not her child, she is the sweetest thing too. But if you're her child, she's a demon and a devil, and just like my mum. Everyone's like, your mum is the nicest person ever, and I'm like, you don't have to live with her.
Yeah, like my mum, she's a sweetheart and I love her to bits. But yeah, there is a part of her that is very dark and very terrifying. Like,
yes. Yeah, because they had to raise us.
I could pick her up and throw her over the fence like a javelin these days, but I'm still scared that she'd come back and stab me in the neck with a basting fork or something. Like, I love her, but yeah, she gave me some tough love as a kid.
Of my mum. Yep. God, yep.
All right, let's move on to the next this or that for the news.
Isn't it International Women's Day?
Is it?
Yeah, we're saying how strong and intense our mothers are. Like, they are the most fearsome people in our lives. I'll fight a whole army of people before I fight
These
my mother.
terrifying women. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. Carry on.
We're very, very on brand. All right, so this Call of Duty streamer accidentally fires gun on air, lands Twitch ban.
God.
Or that I Am 8-Bit abandons E3. Now, I know where I want to go with this, but Nato, are we going this or are we going that?
Like, I want to say this, but like, there's nothing really to talk about, like, apart from he's a dickhead.
Mm-hmm.
But I want so let's talk about E3.
Ah, God damn it. All right. As per the rules. The creative director of E3 2020, I Am 8-Bit, has decided to step down from being involved in this year's show. Merchandise and event production company I Am 8-Bit have resigned from its position as creative director with, in quotes, mixed emotions, as revealed in a tweet. But the reason why hasn't been given. I Am 8-Bit was originally brought on to, in quotes, reinvigorate the show and, frankly, to shake things up, as it said in the announcement this year. The idea at this year's E3 was to create a show floor that celebrates gaming culture in exciting new ways. This would be shared with the world through new streaming and digital programming. And then, while I Am 8-Bit didn't give any firm explanation onto why it resigned from its position, the organizer of E3, the Entertainment Software Association, ESA, has given a statement to GI.biz. We can confirm that I Am 8-Bit is no longer part of the interagency group working on E3 2020. We greatly value their passion for the video game industry and the contributions they brought towards our vision for this year's show. We have an innovative and experienced team in place, including Endeavour's creative agency 160/90, event innovators Matt Plus Low, and longtime E3 partners GES, Dollar Her Events, and Double Forte, all collaborating to bring to life an exciting and an authentic experience for fans, the media, and the industry. So, E3, obviously all the hullabaloo constantly with ESA leaking various personal details for content creators, media, and what have you. It seems every other week. And now with the heightened level of tension with the coronavirus, with all these other events getting cancelled, all these publishers and developers canning international travel, where do you see E3 going? Like, at the moment, it's business as usual. It's still going ahead later this year. It's obviously housed in Los Angeles. What do you think about this? So I Am 8-Bit have pulled out. My conspiracy theory is they're pulling out because they want to merge with We Are 8-Bit and become one giant global juggernaut.
I was going to say, Brendan, why did your company pull out of this? That's what I really want to know. And why are you using a ghostwriter name?
Yeah, sadly NDA, so I can't say too much more than that. But do you think this is predominantly around this coronavirus fear and hysteria, or do you think there's more to this where they're just jack of the ESA dealings?
As they were brought in to, like, revigorate it, they were going to try all these new things, and, like, the old skeleton people that run those events were like, no, you're changing it too much, and I bet you they just were like, no, well, fuck this then. Like, you've brought us in as not nearly like a scapegoat of, like, if this fails, it's these guys' fault, but they weren't allowed to do anything with it. I bet you they weren't allowed. The boundaries of their creative kind of spirit were probably very, you can only just do this. Or
you think they didn't want to be attached to the E3 name if it tanks, which it very well might probably because of the corona situation and everything else. So
I don't even think it's like the corona thing is like a plus onto this. Like, E3 has been slowly, like, shit in the bed the last couple of years.
I still think ESA, like, they should just say, like, yeah, no E3 this year, sorry guys, because corona. That's the reason why. Corona. Nothing about us floundering or anything like that. Yeah. I the fact that I Am 8-Bit said with mixed emotions, it just tells a bigger story. It's not like, I feel like if it was something specifically, they might have addressed it, but it's just they said mixed emotions. Mixed emotions doesn't
Good
mean
PR
like,
talk.
oh, you know, we left on good terms, or it was a mutual agreement. It's like, no, something went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
What
were
do you
either
think went
kicked
down?
out or they left.
What do you think, Miss Hart? Hypothetically, what do you think went down?
I think it's money. And Nato's probably right too. Maybe some creative differences and, you know, people kind of like just bringing them back on what they kind of had envisioned. I don't think it has anything to do with being attached to what could possibly be a, you know, a horrible E3 or an existing E3, if it actually happens. I just feel like when you say things like in that kind of tone, that there was confliction like between them and, you know, higher up.
No, I agree. So we'll see what happens with this in the immediate future, because obviously this is a couple of months away.
E3 is going to bounce back eventually. Like, it got to a point where it nearly died a good 10 years ago. Like, they were in, like, a school or something at one stage, weren't they? And then it became this big thing again. It's like, it's just going to go with the ebb and flow of what we want with the industry. And
It
just
depends
not at
on what they want to do with it. Like they're obviously shifting more to a consumer focus where it's becoming open to the public with very exuberantly priced tickets, mind you. But it's less about just media and content creators and personalities attending and getting this access to share coverage. They're now opening it up to ticket sales and Gen Pop coming in and cluttering those hallways and just turning into just yet another convention. So we'll see how it goes moving forward. But it's just not looking good. But
No.
moving on and quickly doubling back to that other headline, that Carl Reimer, who fired a pistol live on stream
into his screen.
Oh my god!
He shot his screen.
Did he? I heard he shot his G Fuel.
Yeah, he shot the can and apparently it damaged the screen as well. Like,
Oh, okay.
what an absolute fucking moron of a human being. Like, he's got an open cause beer can in front of him, and I think he's since come out and sort of said he had a couple of beers. So he's slightly intoxicated on a stream with a firearm, firing said firearm. Like,
Fuck yeah.
mate, sort yourself out. And anyone that thinks that's cool, you're a fucking dickhead as well. So, yeah, onto the last this or that. Bleeding Edge's next character is a dolphin in a mech suit. Or Google pinches God of War studio head to lead new Stadia studio.
Oh,
Miss Hart, you're up. We going this or we going that?
I'm kind of sick of talking about Stadia, but Stadia's actually had some changes lately, apart from people leaving, people joining on. I don't know how long we could talk about a dolphin in a mech suit, so I might say that.
Yeah, so quick shout out to Meko, who is the new character in Bleeding Edge. But we're going with that.
Oh, Meko, I just got it. Oh,
Echo the dolphin.
dolphin.
Yeah, good wordplay. All right, the Stadia launch was wobbly, but Google isn't giving up on the stream dream just yet. It's opened a second game development studio in Playa Vista, Los Angeles, and hired former God of War studio head Shannon Studstill to run it. I've been a fan of Shannon's for a long time, said Stadia Games boss Jade Raymond, and have admired her award-winning work leading Sony's Santa Monica studio and the industry-defining franchises like God of War that have won fans all over the world. She has an extensive background in product development and creative leadership, but most importantly, she's a visionary who, as the studio director, will lead and inspire the Playa Vista teams. We're thrilled to welcome her into the Stadia family. The new Playa Vista studio will focus on delivering exclusive games with new gameplay mechanics, creative ways to play together, and unique interaction models, whatever that means. While we're not ready to share specific game plans yet, Raymond said, rest assured, we are listening to what gamers want and adding our own Stadia twist to create new IP and experiences. Nato, what do you reckon about this? I think for one, it's a good get, but
I think it's just fluff. Like, we've seen in the game industry a whole bunch of people, like, oh, we've got this person. Like, what was the big one? What's her name? Amy Henning or something? The one that used to work on Uncharted? And, like, she went over to EA to build their new Star Wars game, and it just disappeared and was crushed and stuff like that. Yeah. And also, it's a studio head. Like, it's not the same as movies where it's like the director is a big part unless you're doing a Kojima video game Like, it's more about the artist and the writers and all that stuff. Like, the director is not as... It's a big part. I'm not, like, downplaying that, but it's not as big part as it is in a movie and stuff like that. So, and this is not even a director. It's a studio head. Like, yeah, I couldn't give... Especially because of Stadia. Couldn't give a flying fuck until they proved to me otherwise.
Yeah, Miss Hart, like, what do you think? Like, obviously you led off before we picked this headline regarding your initial feelings on Google Stadia and the current state of play there, but what do you reckon? Do you think this is going to move the needle?
I think it's kind of a big risk on Shannon's part. Like, there's no denying the fact that Stadia's in an absolute pothole when it comes into, you know, launching their, you know, system or, you know, software or whatever it is. Like, they started off on being on a, like, either people were for it and, you know, hoping that it succeeds, and then there was everyone else that was like, nah, fuck it. And unfortunately for them, based on their release, everyone that was kind of semi-optimistic about it, they lost.
Felt burnt as fuck.
Exactly right. Yeah. So they lost, and I'm going to say that they probably lost about 60 to 70% of those people. So they are in an absolute nightmare position right now. And then to have someone come over and, like, essentially attach themselves to something and saying, like, hey, we're sinking, so, you know, we think that we could save this just by attaching a bunch of lifeboats. Hopefully we can get our shit together and get the boat floating again. But right now, you know, let's just attach some big names and see if they can do something to help us out. And, like, I don't see, like, how this news is going to put it in a positive light. Like Nato said, a lot of the things that when it comes to especially creating games, it's like a lot of people on the creative side, like creative directors and writers and, you know, people like that. It's no short feat to be a studio head and make sure everything functions and runs smoothly. But in the end, you're attaching it to a system or, a, you know, you're attaching it to Stadia, who is already in dismay. So...
taken on water.
Oh, yeah, like in keeping with all these marine-based analogies, like, she doesn't even have a crew for this ship. Like, she's got this boat that she's trying to keep afloat now with Playa Vista, this studio. She hasn't even hired anybody for this studio to work with her yet. So we're not going to see anything out of this studio for several years. And by then, Stadia could be dead. Like, obviously, Google's got enough money to keep this thing going from now until infinity.
Like, a company can have money, but whether they're gonna, like, divert funds to try and keep this thing afloat, like, it's like when the Red Rings were happening, like, when I can't remember who was the boss of Xbox at the moment, like, had to go into the office of old big Gatesy and be like, hey, this is gonna cost us $1 billion to fix this problem. Have we got money? And, like, thank God Gates was like, yep, all right, we'll take this loss to try and keep our customers around and stuff like that.
Oh, Gates just lifts a cushion on his couch. He's like, oh, yeah, there's a bill. Just take that on your way.
But like, but that's like $1 billion they could have put elsewhere in their company and stuff like that. Yeah. That's what I mean. Where, like, a company can have money, but whether they're gonna divert it, like, it's only recently that, like, the Xbox family has actually become part of the Microsoft family, because I think Phil is on their board now, like on the Microsoft board. So, like, they've actually finally bring it. But yeah, if you go through a lot of their history, like, Xbox was this little, like, stepchild that they didn't care a fuck about. That, like, and in the same, and everyone used to say, oh, it's Microsoft, they got tons of money. And it's like, yeah, but do they divert their funds towards the Xbox brand? Is not really. And so whether Google, when they can put money towards all these self-driving cars and all these other things that they're putting money towards, or do they put it towards this gaming system that looks like it's not doing well in the first place? Like, it doesn't even have a core base to keep going. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Just because Google's got money doesn't mean they're going to put it towards, like, this failing product.
Yeah, I think Shannon wouldn't have jumped ship without some kind of guarantee that this thing's going to go for, like, she'll get a few years to at least make something. It's maybe it's like a 5-year guarantee, because
that's probably what it is. Variety. Yeah, of, like, a contract in the gaming industry is awesome because you know you've got guaranteed money for 5 years, and then during those 5 years you can, even if the company's dying and stuff like that, you can spend that 5 years setting up contracts and contacts for your next job of, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go work for this company, but I know for 5 years at least I'm gonna get paid. Exactly.
And, like, she jumped from a pretty stable job there, like Santa Monica Studio is one of the crown jewels in Sony's development cap. So to jump from a role with that amount of prestige to something that, yes, Google has a huge name, but there is so much risk attached to it. She's certainly got some kind of escalators attached to her contract where, this isn't going to fold in 12 months. I think she's going to get, maybe 5 years to build this team, get a game out and see if Google and Stadia stay afloat. But yeah, it's certainly been a rough start. Like, we barely talk about it. Like, this is some cutting edge product that could be something special for the industry, and it's just bombed so hard. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah, we wish Shannon Studstill all the best over there. And Yumi Yang has been appointed to replace her over at Sony Santa Monica Studio. So congratulations to both those people for taking on these new roles. But let's move into the last bit of news for this week. And it's the 20th anniversary of the beloved PlayStation 2. On March the 4th of this past week, it turned 20 years old. So it came out on March the 4th of 2000 for the initial Japanese release, although it wouldn't make it to the West until the end of the year 2000. And what a way to kick off a new millennium. At 155 million units sold, PlayStation 2 is the best-selling home console of all time. Part of that was down to its trailblazing predecessor and Sony's canny branding, classy, cool, and above all, grown-up. Part of that was because it played the new DVD format relatively cheaply.
That's 100% what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, DVDs. It's all about that.
Yeah.
But most of all, down to the console's astonishing software library, which matched quantity with quality all the way down. So many all-time greats made their debut on this machine, and so many creative left-field gems too. So it seemed like the only fair way to celebrate PlayStation 2's birthday was by talking about some of our fondest memories or favorite titles relating to the black brick of awesomeness. So PlayStation 2, it was a beauty. I got that. I didn't get it for Christmas in 2000. I got it just after. Got it, I think, maybe middle of 2001. But it is one of my favorite consoles of all time. It's just about the world's favorite, just based off units sold alone. 155 million, like, that's no joke. I don't know if we'll ever see a number for a console hit that high again in our lifetime. So kudos to Sony for smashing that secret sauce way back in the day. But yeah, let's share some thoughts. Let's share some stories. Let's go down memory lane. Miss Hart, do you want to lead us off? Do you want to share an experience or a memory or a title on the PlayStation 2?
It's actually really funny, especially based on what I said at the start of this podcast, which was like me not caring about Final Fantasy. Except for Final Fantasy X. I was all up in that shit, and I used to play that trailer on like repeat, and I even learned the title song on my keyboard. I actually purposely learned that. So I was so excited for it, and I think I actually got the PlayStation 2 so I could play Final Fantasy X.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. So
and
that was a console.
The graphics. It was like, this game looks beautiful. It looks amazing. And wasn't I up for some disappointment? Like, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like, there was a lot of like eye rolling when it came to dialogue and such like that, and writing. But yeah, like, it still was a good looking game, but
just missed the mark on a few notes for you.
Yes.
What about you, Nato? You got a game or a memory that comes to mind immediately when we think of PlayStation 2?
Nope. Didn't I was original Xbox boy, and tried a Final Fantasy here and there on it, and maybe Tekken, and that's my knowledge of the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
At all.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one. Like, PlayStation 1 played a lot, PlayStation 3 played a lot, got a PlayStation 4, but never really played the PlayStation 2. I was out of that ecosystem. GameCube and
the Xbox.
Original Xbox. Yep. And that was it.
Fair call. My earliest memory of the PlayStation, or one of the ones that just resonates strongest when I think about it now, is playing Manhunt. My mum bought me that game. And when was it? 2003. So 2003. How old was I then? I don't know. I was in my teens, and that game was heavy. Like, for anyone that hasn't played it, you're like a convict escaping through this like torture maze of serial killers and stuff, while this overarching sort of bad person watches you on film as you kill people in very creative ways, suffocate them with plastic bags, shiv them in the neck with broken glass, all this kind of shit. Like it is a heavy game.
This game?
Yeah, that's why I giggled as soon as he said his mum, because I knew what the game was.
Yeah, but what I remember most is it came out, and then literally within the month, it was then banned and removed from Australian shelves. So I was like, I got it.
I remember that.
And luckily got my hands on it before it got stripped from the shelves and banned from further sale in the country. So I was like one of the only kids at school that had this game. So on the weekends sometimes, like a group of kids from school would come around and we'd all play it. We'd all be like sitting around the old square CRT television playing some Manhunt, just watching each other like, kill these bad people in very disturbing ways. So probably not the sweetest memory, but it's one that certainly is just etched in my head. And the other one is booting up Grand Theft Auto 3, like Vice City. Like I remember playing that from when it went from top down GTA 1 and 2, where you've got a little character with these very long leg stretches when he's walking and he's sort of power walking everywhere, to this fully realized 3D world. It just blew my freaking mind, that game.
Best fucking musics. Like, I still believe, like, it's still pretty good nowadays, but I just remember Vice City just having the best music attached to GTA. So, actually, speaking of GTA, let's not forget the honorable, like, homage, I guess, to GTA, Simpsons Hit and Run.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
That game was great. I'm disappointed that we really haven't seen that one kind of remastered or come back. Like, I remember that being, like, incredibly enjoyable.
Yeah.
It doesn't handle well. Like, I've gone back and played it, and I'm like, oh, I remember this playing a lot better than it was.
I mean, we're lucky nowadays, but
Yeah.
I think back then it didn't really bother us too much.
No.
And another game that came out in that ecosystem, and it was also on the Xbox, was Burnout 3 Takedown.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember playing that game, and it was, the first game I played, I don't know if it was sort of a pioneer for that way of sort of highlighting destruction, but that crash mode in Takedown, where you'd have the levels where you'd have to obviously cause the most damage. You go careening into all this traffic, you're smashing cars everywhere, and then it like slows right down, shows the explosions, cameras pan around. Almost felt like Michael Bay was filming this game, just with the overemphasis of carnage and destruction and explosions. And man, as a teenager, and not being able to drive yet, like living your best destructive, like car crash, high velocity life was so good. So good. So yeah, Burnout Takedown. I think I had it on the Xbox, to be honest, at that time, but I played it on my mate's PlayStation as well because he had it.
Did you have an Xbox as well as a kid?
Yeah.
Did you have both consoles as a kid?
Yeah.
I had my Xboxes first, and then I bought my PlayStations.
Yeah, but you bought it.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
I saved up for the Xbox, but the PlayStation.
Okay, so you did buy at least one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this big money fucking kid getting both consoles from his parent.
Nah, I was working hard at KFC back in them days, saving my $5.25 an hour, and got there. My dad chipped in and helped me get the Xbox, but did that off my own back. And then like Metal Gear Solid 2 came out on PlayStation 2 as well. And I just remember the story in it, the cinematic visuals is really good. I just remember fighting Raven, which was the big dude in like the big freezer area, and just having the back and forth with him. Yeah, such a great game. Such a great game. That franchise obviously pretty special and universally sort of known as one of the best IPs in the world. What about you, Miss Hart? You got any other memories that come to mind on PlayStation 2?
I'm just thinking back also, like, with the ones that were kind of, like, I wouldn't necessarily say they were the best of the best, but, like, memories of playing, like, your SmackDown versus Raw, back when the games used to be really pretty...
Wasn't it just SmackDown on the PlayStation?
No.
And, like, Raw was on Xbox at that stage? It wasn't until later. Wasn't it, like, PlayStation 3 era that they combined the brand finally?
Maybe.
I think it was like Here Comes the Pain or something. It was like the PlayStation one. Like it was SmackDown only was on PlayStation and Raw only was on Xbox.
It was so
and they
good.
You're right, yeah.
They controlled completely different as well. Like it was two different companies I think even made them. Because like I remember playing Raw on my Xbox and then going to my mate's house that had the SmackDown and I'm like, What why does it handle like this and stuff like I don't know whether it was better or good or worse, but it was just because I was used to controlling it like this on that game and then coming across, and then I was like, so now you have to hold the buttons or the sticks? And I was like, yeah, but on mine I just got to press A and then B and stuff like that. And
It was like, it was always like one of those games when you know, at like parties and like, you know, essentially just getting a little bit wild and rowdy and drinking and whatnot, and along with like Guitar Hero as well.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Because we got that around that. No.
Yeah, it
no,
would have been
Guitar
around
Hero
there.
was later. Was it 2?
Guitar, like, I'm trying
I
to
thought
remember.
it was on the
I think
360 that...
No, well, I know the
get-
Guitar Hero.
No, it was on PlayStation 2. Guitar Hero 3 was on PlayStation 2 and a few others, so it was in that ecosystem for a while.
It was that long ago?
Yeah.
2005 was the first Guitar Hero release.
Oh my god.
So sort of the tail end of the PlayStation 2, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I never got really good at Guitar Hero, and that was one thing that always frustrated me. Like, I was never very good on the expert levels, where I had a few other mates that were just like shred lords, and they're just like yawning as they're playing, you know, Buckethead songs like it's nothing. Like, God, fuck these guys.
I used to hang out with like a lot of people in like bands, and they would just constantly talk about how, you know, those games were always like, I'd be better at this if it was a real guitar. Fun memories.
Yeah.
But yeah, PlayStation 2, like, it was a, you know, for as a console, it was solid, and it lasted for quite some time. I don't recall mine ever having major issues.
Yeah, mine never had an issue. Like, and it was the last console to have the old memory card slots.
Did it really?
As well. It had the old dual memory card slots on the front, and it had the old, remember like when PlayStation used to have that weird like 9-pin controller input on the front? I remember having a multi-tap for the PlayStation, and then the PlayStation 2 I bought a multi-tap so you could get some 4-player hotness going in some of those games.
It was a good design too.
Like WWE. Yeah, it was nice and sleek. And I like that you could sit it horizontally and vertically. I think it was the first console, maybe the last I've actually ever had vertically. Like, I had it sitting upright beside my telly.
I think we had it like that at one stage, yeah.
Yeah, just looked nice. And 4,500 games dropped on the PlayStation 2 over its life cycle, which is bonkers. You know, that's a huge portfolio of games. Like, obviously, your Final Fantasies are on there, Tekken, Soul Calibur. Spicy boy, you just disappeared off screen and come back and took a shot. Another game that obviously got a remake recently, Shadow of the Colossus, dropped on the PlayStation 2.
Was that a 2?
That was a 2.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it was pretty revolutionary for its time. You know, a game where there
That's
was
on
no
PS
real
Plus
direction
this month.
Yeah.
That's on PS Plus for free at the moment.
Yeah, pick it up.
Go check that out.
Just a giant ass crazy boss battler with no compass. You just do what you want, go where you want, and take down these baddies. Big
Sort of
giant
compass.
baddies.
You could have the shining light off your sword. With
Yeah,
the
that's true.
Yeah,
You know what I mean.
and
though.
also Sonic Forces as well as on PlayStation Plus. So go pick that up.
All right, so PlayStation 2, 20 years, 155 million consoles, 4,500 games. Nice work to everyone involved with Sony. If you've got any nice memories or thoughts you want to share on PlayStation 2, obviously hello@8bit.net on the email. He's up on the socials at We Are 8bit. But a couple of quick new releases of note that are coming out this coming week. Ori and the Will of the Wisps landing on the Xbox One and PC on March the 11th. Get that free on Xbox Game Pass. And Neo 2 on the PlayStation 4 comes out on March 13th, which is just, like, Neo 1 was a fantastic game, but 2 was just sort of sneaking in the back door. Like, there's been no real
hype
press.
behind it
no
at
hype.
all.
Just rolling in.
Especially because it's one of the only games that was able to hold up against the
Souls games.
The Soulsborns of I know you were a big fan of the Star Wars game and stuff like that, but man, that combat system was trash in comparison to if you were a big Soulsborne fan. It just
it
was
dipped a
something
toe.
about
It
it.
just dipped a toe
Yeah.
into that Soulsborne style of gameplay.
It was just because I was so used to how well built those Soulsborne games are when something didn't work in combat, when a sword slipped through a lightsaber slipped through the lightsaber in a block or an attack, and I was just like, what? And it's just like, yeah, the Neo games was the only ones that when you play it, you couldn't find a fault of like, nope, this is just as good as the programming in the Soulsborne games. So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I'm so surprised how quietly it's coming out.
Just
This number
sneaking
2.
out this week. But Ori and the Will of the Wisps as well. I'm all about that. There's these real life bonsai trees they're giving away in conjunction with this game, and holy crap, they're beautiful. I want one so bad, but I can't work out a way to get one outside of winning it or being some famous streamer. And sadly, I'm not winning it, and I'm not a famous streamer. So, Xbox, if you're listening, please give it to me. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Mr. Open House.
Mr. Open House. We're working on some things as well. It's a bit exciting. We'll be back in one regard, in a different way. But yeah, stay tuned for that.
I saw Rach was saying something about she was doing a podcast at some stage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're translating to podcast form, but more on that
So
in the near
excited.
future. We're actually going to do another episode recording tomorrow. So, yeah, keep your ears open for that. All right, last segment.
Tweet of the week.
And it's the segment where I die, clearly. But yes, this tweet of the week comes direct from the most undisciplined animals in the world. We're talking about Naughty Dog. We're so psyched to be teaming up with HBO to create a new series. Oh, hang on. I'll read this again. So this is the tweet straight from them Naughty Dogs. We're so psyched to be teaming up with @HBO to create a new The Last of Us series with @Neil Druckmann and @CL Mason at the helm. And then obviously further info directly linked to the HollywoodReporter.com. So for those that didn't know, HBO are going to be making a Last of Us television series with the head of Naughty Dog, Mr. Druckmann himself, and the writer of Chernobyl also taking part in this. What do you guys reckon? Is this going to be good? Is this going to be a good TV show? Is it going to translate? What do you feel like? I know, Miss Hart, you're not the biggest sort of measuring stick for The Last of Us, but what do you reckon? Do you think this is going to be worth your time?
My issue with Last of Us is gameplay. It
It's a-
was
it's
just
a
how they
single-player
led
game.
me
You don't
through
like
it.
single-player
So
games.
I can acknowledge that this game, like The Last of Us, had great writing. It was a great story. Like, people don't keep talk about a game in such a way like they do of Last of Us if it didn't have good writing and great stories. So HBO at the helm as well, which means they will have
High quality.
like less limitations when it comes to violence, gore. Like usually other networks kind of like pull back on that sort of stuff. So I mean, it's a good matchup. Doing a series instead of a movie is interesting.
Yeah, so they've canned the movie. Like, obviously, they had a movie in development. They've said that's done. Sole focus now shifts to this TV series.
Yeah. So, a series element should be good. It should be also a great way for them to explore like the universe and like maybe even other stories and other people affected. Have they established if it's going to be the exact same story?
They're saying the first season is going to be primarily based around Ellie and Joel's story, but then future seasons they might open it up to the wider world from The Last of Us.
Okay. So people are already, they already know what's going to happen, but I don't think that matters. I think people will rewatch it anyway, as long as it's done right, stays true to the material. And yeah, I don't see it failing too much.
Yeah, I think tonally, like, because it's landed on HBO, the tone is going to be nailed. Like, as you said, they don't shy away from serious, heavy themes and imagery and violence and all that, which is what The Last of Us is. It's a very dark, bleak story. So they need to really be committed to that. And having the guy that sort of helmed Chernobyl, you can sort of see some eerie similarities to that, where it's talking about radiation and that harshness in that universe tied to what happened at the Chernobyl sort of site itself. So they've got some serious heavy hitters behind it. I like that Neil Druckmann's part of it too, so he will have some control over the vision and know what will work and what will translate. But I'm curious about the casting. Have you guys got any ideas or given any thought to who you'd like to see cast to play as Ellie or Joel?
Someone's been throwing around Jamie Lannister. Apologies, I don't know the actress
I saw the
name.
photo too with the beard and everything.
And I apologize as well. I don't know who the actress was that was also used in the picture. Like, someone put them two or two together, and I was just like, well, there you go. That's it. pack up, go home.
Yeah,
Casting
Nicolaj, I
done.
can't remember his surname, Nicolaj something or other, but yeah, I saw the photo you're talking about where the portraits are side by side, and he's got the grey sort of scruffy beard look and the short hair. And yeah, the young actress they had, yeah, perfect representation for Ellie, so maybe they just nailed it straight away.
The only problem, and it will be for him, is detaching himself from his character, as you know, as I just did, called him Jaime Lannister. So having someone in such an iconic role and then place them in what could be another iconic role is always a bit risky. So they may not go with it just on that.
Yeah, he I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie. I think it's called Mother. Did you ever see that where it's like a horror movie? And he's the dad in that, and he also like he plays himself as a twin too. So his twin brother died, and then the brother comes in to foster his brother's children. And
I have to look
obviously
back at that.
Spiritual shit, and a scary witch woman's in it as well. Pretty good film, but
I remember enjoying it. So I just don't remember
all you
him.
see him as is Jaime Lannister. So
yeah.
What about you, Nato? You got any ideas on who you'd cast as the two leads?
Like, I have people, but like they've already done the Last of Us movie, which is pretty much Logan.
Oh,
Yep. Man.
Like that's who I'd put as the two. Like, especially because the young actress that played 23 in it, like, she's probably older now. She's probably Ellie's age.
Yeah, like
so like.
She's in His Dark Materials at the moment as well, and she's a great little actress. She's a very, very talented actress. So
and yeah, Hugh in his grizzled, beardy look would do it perfectly. But yeah, it'd be too similar to Logan then.
Oh
so
yeah.
Then so I don't know. I think this is one of the roles where I'm like, surprise me.
yeah,
Like I don't, if I get too, because sometimes you get too attached to who you want to be these people, and when they don't be these people, you get like, even if you're of rational mind and you're not like the usual people on the internet, you still be a bit like, oh man, this one would have been better and stuff like that.
yeah.
Prime example was Cavill. Remember how many people like were a bit iffy about Cavill? I think I even was iffy about
In
Cavill.
The Witcher?
Yeah. And
blew us all away.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, you just have to look at the Marvel movies of just like how many times were we like, even like, what's the name for Iron Man? We're all like, no.
Oh, for Robert Downey, yeah.
Yeah, like, and then nobody these days could ever picture him not being Iron Man anymore.
Yeah,
like,
he actually owns that character himself. Like,
yeah, he is that character. That's why, like, it was perfect that they did the things that they did at the end of the movie. I'm just gonna leave it there just in case somebody hasn't seen it. But yeah, like, there ain't no other Iron Mans anymore. And that's what I mean. Where, like, I'm happy now for people just to surprise me. And even when it gets announced, I'm still just like, yep, not gonna judge until I see it in action.
Yeah.
I
But
agree.
nah, Nicolaj Coster-Waldau is how you pronounce his surname.
Oh, how did I forget that name?
Yeah. And the girl you're talking about is Caitlin Dever. And she was in, I remember seeing her first in Justified, which is a phenomenal show with Timothy Oliphant
Is that
as a sheriff. Yeah, he plays a sheriff
sheriff.
down in the South. Such a great show. And she was great in that. And yeah, you look at the photos, just search those two and then The Last of Us, and you look at it and you're like, yep, there's the casting right there. But as you said, Nato, surprised me. Let's see what they come up with moving forward there at HBO. But yeah, this has been episode 185 of the Hungry Games podcast. Nato, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you and that infectious energy back on board here for another episode of THG. Anything you want to say, anything you want to plug before we wrap this up for another week?
Well, hopefully the project I'm doing is out by the time this podcast is out. So yeah, go check out. Yeah, it's Star Wars. It's fun.
Hell yeah.
Go have a check.
Yeah.
It's part of this network.
Yeah, Hard Rolled First it's live on podcast platforms right now, and there is like the little 25-second intro sting teaser there, so you can jump on right now and subscribe just so you can get it into your podcast feeds right away. So Hard Rolled First, check that out. And yeah, episode 1 should hypothetically, touch wood right now, be out by the time this episode drops too, so do yourselves a favor, get that into your ears because it's some good fun. Listen to a bunch of dudes try and roleplay as Star Wars characters on the fly. First time ever. A lot of first time sort of role-playing
I think Benny is
participants.
the only one who's ever played any really role-playing games.
Yeah.
Like the rest of you none of you had played it at all.
Yeah,
So
you and Benny
was
are the
good.
vets, and then myself, Jono, Jack, and the Dream all doing our best impersonations of various personalities from the Star Wars universe. But give it a listen. Han rolled first on all the podcast hosting platforms. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe that show, as well as all the other podcasts in the hashtag 8bit Collective, because as I said earlier, it helps keep those emotional lights on in our hearts. Costs you nothing, takes no time. Miss Hart, anything you want to say before we get on out of here?
No, I'm good to go.
Nice.
I'm good to go.
All right.
I did play test hopefully what I'm going to be using as the next set of one-shots as well.
Cannot wait.
So,
Cannot wait.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to get you and Rach in on that next one.
Oh, mate, should be so keen. And I'm itching to get back in the chair. Like, sadly, we're not recording tomorrow, but we're going to get back to record episode 3 and 4 in the coming weeks. And, have a good old time in a galaxy far, far away. But until next week, 8-Bit Nation, when we return for episode 186 of the Hungry Gamers podcast, much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.